Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled End Times 425, Your Victory Over Dishonesty. How honesty reverses the damage of dishonesty within your heart. The podcast objectives are analyze the connection between your heart and your mind, reveal the only way you can be defeated in spiritual warfare, and analyze the primary illustration of honesty in your quest. This lesson contains timelines and other visuals. Therefore, if you are listening to the podcast, I advise you to watch the video version on our website or YouTube, or request a PDF of the lesson so you can add the visual effect. In the interest of truth. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome to day 243 of our exposition of lawlessness. In the most recent podcast, we completed our analysis of the fundamental degree of virtue. Enter honesty. Although there is much more I could say about honesty, I must move forward with my current remit. To wit, I must show you how the 3 degrees of virtue eliminate the 3 degrees of contempt, beginning with honesty. To prove this matter, we should consider the table to the right, recapping what we have learned about honesty. The primary objective of honesty is to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. By definition, honesty is a quality of being sincere, uprightness and fairness, truthfulness, freedom from deceit or fraud. Now, the key to defeating the spirit of dishonesty lies in the definition of honesty and its primary objective, and I will capture it in the form of an interest point. Consider this. Whereas honesty causes us to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, dishonesty causes us to hold back the truth and, in effect, tell a lie. No doubt, the variable of interest here is the truth. To wit, honesty promotes the truth, which on all counts makes us free, while dishonesty obstructs and thus opposes the truth in order to keep us in bondage. Now, within this conflict lies the key to your victory over dishonesty. To wit, you must eliminate the primary spiritual factor that causes you to oppose the truth within your heart. Enter yourself. The good news is you've already eliminated this imposter in your mind. Trust me, this is a more crucial victory than many realize. Here is why. The mind is not only the gateway into your soul, it is also the gateway into your heart. Ergo, there is a fixed connection between your heart and your mind that governs the flow of mental and cordial activity. And thus, whatever is in your mind will eventually get into your heart. And whatever is in your heart will ultimately dictate the landscape of your mind. The power of an even playing field. Now, in times past, the fixed connection between your heart and your mind was being manipulated by yourself. More than anything, he or she was using the power of your mental faculties to push forward a twisted agenda in your heart. That said, the question we should chiefly entertain is, how did the spirit of contempt gain the power to organize the chaos in your physical heart? Remember, your physical heart is a chaos zone. And this we know. Organization cannot evolve within an environment of constant chaos. And thus, I ask again, how does contempt transform your physical heart into a center of organized chaos? The answer is sure. It uses the power of logistics within your left brain, to wit, your zone of logic. And if you think this is bad, we are definitely in agreement. And yet, that's just a fraction of the manipulation your mind and your heart are subjected to by yourself. But now, due to the heroic work of faith and obedience, your mind is no longer being manipulated by yourself. And as you would expect, this severely limits the amount of damage self can do within your heart, which forces dishonesty to go to war with honesty on an even playing field. Here lies the key to your victory, my friend. And although I have said it before, I will say it again. And you should bookmark it now if you didn't bookmark it then. Every degree of holiness is superior to its counterpart of lawlessness. Ergo, you can defeat every degree of lawlessness if you are walking in the Spirit. Now, the reason why so many will yet fail, despite this reality, is sure. It's because they are not taught how to become masters of their faith. Like a doctor who has all the appropriate tools and yet does not know how to use them. Many who receive the Ruach have all the weapons they need to succeed in spiritual warfare. They just don't know how to use them. And in the sure course of time, they will give up on trying to use them. Why? It's because they are not going to war with lawlessness on an even playing field. And thus, they are being set up to fail. In the case of their war with dishonesty, they have not achieved mind regulation. Ergo, none of the safeguards of obedience and faith are operational. Ergo, self is still actively manipulating their mind. And in doing so, this imposter is using the powers of your mind to strengthen all the degrees of contempt within your heart. My dear friends, you must get this, for this is another critical reason why we must follow the line upon line approach to perfecting holiness. It is for the following reason, which I will offer as an inflection point. Consider this and be advised. Following the linear model of holiness keeps you in the one way, the only way where you can experience constant success in spiritual warfare. It does this by ensuring you are prepared for every ensuing battle. For as every degree of holiness is superior to its corresponding degree of lawlessness, the only way you can be defeated in spiritual warfare is if you are not prepared. And this, my friends, is the power of an even playing field. This is the power of being prepared for every battle and every enemy you must face in your quest for holiness, perfection, and everlasting life. The conscience of your heart. Now, if you follow the linear model of holiness, your war with dishonesty will not be too difficult at all. The primary reason is sure, and I will offer it as an interest point. Consider this. As there are many similarities between your heart and your mind, the Spirit uses the same playbook in freeing both from the deadly reign of lawlessness. Along these lines, the same way dishonesty hijacks your character and gives yourself a seat at the table of your heart, honesty hijacks yourself and she takes his seat away. And if you recall, Hope followed the same playbook when she hijacked this imposter in your mind. From there, honesty will begin the process of renovating your heart. Again, using the same playbook Hope used to renovate your mind. And in doing so, honesty creates a renewed character within your heart, which is even more powerful than your original character. For your renewed character is fashioned by the Ruach. You can see this by observing the diagram to the right. To wit, your renewed character is where self used to be, and honesty is where dishonesty once was. Now, the location of honesty within your physical heart is strategic, for this is the source of all the chaos. But look, the spirit of honesty is situated in the midst of the chaos. To wit, honesty via your renewed character feeds into the three major problem areas within your heart. Enter your emotions, your physical desire, and your physical thought alignment center. This positioning opens a door for honesty to purge your physical heart from every manner of deceit or fraud. This brings us to a key revelation that I'd advise you to bookmark if you are led. Honesty provides your heart with a moral compass that allows you to identify when the enemy is trying to deceive you into taking a dishonest act contrary to the Father's will. Along these lines, honesty is the conscience of your heart. This is crucial because your heart, unlike your mind, does not have a conscience by default. And yet, it needs a conscience. And so, Yahuwah has prepared one for it. Hallelujah. Now, having a conscience in your heart gives you a huge advantage. This should be clear considering everything we learned about the role your conscience plays in your mind. Consider this. Your conscience within your mind is the primary governor of your spiritual and physical thought processes. It ensures the output of these critical thought processes is accurate. To your good fortune, your conscience plays the same role in your heart. Besides serving as the moral compass, it is also the primary governor of your spiritual and physical thought alignment centers. Here is why this is so important. By governing your thought alignment centers, honesty ensures that the data that passes into your DPU is always accurate. Now, although this does not free your DPU from the negative influence of unrighteousness and defilement, it effectively sets the stage for the next battle. Trust me, there would be no potential for victory in any of these scenarios if you did not possess the power to ascertain the truth and to ensure your intentions and decisions are based upon facts. Not only this, but by renewing your character, honesty also frees your emotions from the disastrous rule of yourself. If you recall, hope achieves the same feat in your mind. Both are momentous for the following reason. By freeing your emotions from the negative influence of yourself, they can now be trusted. To wit, you can now trust the emotional response you have to any thought or intention. My dear friends, hear me carefully as I say, this is huge. Alas, your emotions had been the primary negative influence on your feelings, neutralizing the power of your DPU and your impressions. And although your DPU, your impressions, and your feelings are not wholly freed by the work of honesty, here again, the stage is set for them to be freed. The same goes for the remainder of your heart. My dear friends, the work of honesty is so pivotal and powerful. The rest of the work required to undo the damage of contempt will be achieved in the next series of battles. Thanks to the power of honesty, you're halfway there. And thus, you must not stop with this pivotal victory over dishonesty. Quite the contrary, you must take the next step forward and move on to the next battlefield. You must now take the battle to unrighteousness and show him what it's like to go to battle with an honest woman or man. And you will, beginning with the next podcast. Yahuwah bless you until then. Now, here is the final word. The greatest battles you will ever fight will empower you to do what's right. My dear friends, this is clearly the case in your battle with dishonesty. To wit, the primary reason why men and women fail to do what they know is right is because they are being plagued by the spirit of dishonesty. But now you have eliminated dishonesty from your heart. Ergo, there is no internal pressure to follow one of the many paths of unrighteousness. Quite the contrary, all there is now is a kind and gentle force guiding you in the way you know is right. For look, listen, it has been written, and your ears hear a word behind you saying, this is the way, walk in it, whenever you turn to the right or whenever you turn to the left. And yet, you will never hear these words if you fail to unlock the power of virtue, beginning with the power of honesty. Heretofore, I recommend never give up your pursuit of virtue. Rather, Push the fight to the very end, and you will become a living legend. For who can find a virtuous woman, and who can find an honest man? Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on all the lessons you have heard this week and ask the Father to give you clarity on anything you are struggling to receive. And if you are led, please feel free to reach out to me. You can fill out a form on our website and let us know what questions you have. And remember, the only question that can truly hurt you is the one you fail to ask. Last but not least, enjoy the upcoming Shabbat and the weekend, and be ready to get back at it next week as we continue to make our calling and election sure in pursuit of the precious and priceless seal of Elohim. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, End Times 425, Your Victory Over Dishonesty. And the next podcast is entitled End Times 426, An Intro to Righteousness, Part 1. I will post this podcast on Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.